Mina, thank you so much. We have kind of hung out in the same spaces in the Northern Virginia area for a couple of years, and I have loved watching everything you do and love the way that you kind of take all of what you do to the next level. So I'm excited for this. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So we'll get started right away.
Okay.
We've already heard your bio and what you do. I wanted to ask about the spaces that we live in. Living in a space that fills our soul is really important. What are some truths that you know around the mental and physical costs of living in spaces that don't fuel us or living in spaces that don't give us positive energy?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. For me, where I get really passionate about is I don't think that we are conscious of how spaces affect us, both mentally and physically, as much as we should be. Mentally, I think a cost is just really feeling depleted, feeling kind of overwhelmed. When you walk into a space, it's disorganized or your office isn't functioning the way, it just adds to that mental stress that I think we live in so much. I mean, we have so much stress in our lives. We don't need more of it when we walk into our homes, which should be our sanctuaries.
Yeah.
So I think there's that mental just distress that comes with it. And then physically, you feel like your energy shift. When you walk into grandma's house or a place that really love, there's this feeling, there's this energy that you get. Sometimes it's peaceful energy, sometimes it's excitement if there's a lot of kids running around. And then there's walking into the DMV or a long line when you're trying to shop for something last minute at Christmas. Not that I would ever do that. But there's an energy to that that's kind of so everything's made up of energy. And I think that physically our spaces can affect us, kind of bring that energy down or lift it up. So it's really important to just balance that.
Yeah, I agree. And something that's always very close to my heart, mostly, I mean, partially because I am a realtor, but also because we move a lot. Often the last thing that we do when we move into a house is get the adult spaces set up. But my bedroom is always last. You say that feng shui starts in the bedroom. Can you
Yes.
share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for me, the bedroom is like the hub of the house. I know we talk about it for the kitchen a lot,
Mhm.
but for me, having that, I talked about the home being a sanctuary, but specifically your bedroom, making sure that it is a place for you to restore yourself, that you don't bring a lot of electronics in it and feel like it's disorganized and have piles of stuff everywhere, because I feel like the bedroom kind of represents ourselves, and how we treat ourselves. So when the bedroom or the adult space is last, I think that's sending a message out there that, everybody and everything else comes first. And I think it's just really important to make sure that we create that sanctuary, that place for rest, so that we actually do restore ourselves to our best ability. And I think, leaving the bedroom to last, I mean, I did a whole blog on how to feng shui your bedroom and how to, if you're looking, some of us aren't in relationships. I mean, I am, but some of us out there aren't. And, there's all these tips and tricks you can do to make sure that there's two, simple, but making sure that there's two lamps and two side tables and pictures of things with two, so that you just bring that energy into wanting to create the relationship that you want to have.
Yeah. Well, and I never really thought about it mirroring the way that we treat ourselves. And so
Yeah.
if that's the last thing that you work on, or if you leave the cluttered mess, I might have to admit a pile of clothes that just keep growing and growing. So that must be part of why then a hotel room can feel so luxurious and welcoming and like a retreat, um,
Yes.
because it's free of all of that, and it's got the two lamps and it has a place to sit and all of that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's already a clean space, so there are no piles or anything like that. You got it nicely decorated, obviously, but more than that, I think it's a clean space. And a lot of times, even when I'm feeling, it sounds strange, but I'll be feeling really overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I don't have enough to do. I have too much to do, and I'll be working from the house or whatever it might be, and I'll like walk through my closet, and it's just a wreck, and I'm like, oh. And I will take the time in that moment just to tidy it up a little bit, so I don't keep stepping over everything. And I swear it shifts the energy, where I go back and all of a sudden I'm like focused. So
Yeah.
there really is a connection to that. So back to the hotel rooms. Yeah, you're coming into a clutter-free zone. All the drawers are empty, and there's space to receive and to kind of reset yourself.
And the
Absolutely.
beds are always made.
Always made. Yep. That's one thing that my grandma taught me. So I was raised by my grandma, and that's one thing she taught me, was I always had to make my bed. She hated the posters and the color that I wanted on the walls and all that. But at least if my bed was made, it was a good
So
thing.
that's actually something that we weren't planning on talking about, but that is something that kind of matters. You know, if you start your day out that way, then you know that you've set the stage for how you're going to end your day.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and when you come in, it feels like that hotel room where even if there are piles and there's things that are around, your bed's made. It's like you did a basic thing and it's ready to receive you versus reminding you of when you got out of it this morning. Like it brings you right back to the last time you left it versus this is a clean slate and now it's ready to receive me for the rest.
And even I'm thinking, just if I picture myself in that situation, an unmade bed, getting back into it feels like I didn't do everything I should have that day.
Exactly. You make yourself wrong on a mental
Yeah.
level. Like, oh, I didn't even make my bed. Oh well, and you get back in it.
So
Versus
everyone
5
listening,
seconds of just
yeah,
doing it in the morning, you know?
it's really not that hard. So everyone listening, that's a challenge to
Yeah.
make your bed in the mornings.
Yes. The other
One,
thing I would add, just with the hotel room
yeah,
piece, I love all the pillows that hotels put up there. So I think it's, having the color and the wall hangings and that type of stuff. But, don't be afraid of having a bunch of pillows, because when you make your bed, you just throw it all up on there and it's going to make you feel different when you walk back in.
and I also, part of what I love about hotels is the ritual of taking all the pillows off
Yes.
to get in bed. And so that sounds very silly, but that probably some of that connection to that habit and that ritual would help create that in your own bedroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a trick that I remember in an old Oprah show way back, and whoever she had on there, if it was Nate or whoever, but it was that you buy an oversized comforter. So if you have a queen, you get a king. So it's just like opulent, and it's laying over, and it just, it doesn't, you don't want it obviously touching the ground, but to always buy a bedspread that's, if you've got the height enough to handle it,
I love that.
a little bit larger than what you need. So
I
it
love
feels,
that. Well, and that would even make it simple to literally just throw it back over in the morning.
exactly right.
Yeah. So you have a lot of clients that you work with, and one of the things that you do is intention painting, which is so, 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 so cool. And I can't wait for you to share about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yes, one of my favorite parts of any renovation that we do, and I tell everybody, so even if you're not doing a renovation, you can always paint a wall,
Yeah.
is to create an intention painting. And it's simply exactly what the words are. It's creating an intention for the space that you're painting or that you're renovating or that you're trying to make a shift in. So, before we put the first coat of paint, we just ask our clients to think about, what does this new space or what does this room represent to them and their family? And they write literally on the wall their intention. I did it in our office when we moved office space at the beginning of this year. But a lot of our clients will write, health and happiness or abundance or family connections, whatever resonates. It could be, a favorite poem. We had, and a lot of times the family will write, they'll get the kids involved. You'd be surprised what teenagers they'll come up with. It's just, or even kids. We had one that she couldn't even write yet, so she just made her little mark. Her name Paisley. She made her little mark on the wall.
Yeah.
So anyway, you do that, and then you put a coat of paint over it. Nobody ever knows it's there, but it energetically stamped that your intention in that space, and it's just a really fun exercise to do, and just bring it to the next level than just putting up a coat of paint. So
No, I
something.
love that. Well, and
Mhm.
it grounds and anchors the process of the shift,
Yeah.
renovation and the new space. We often tell our clients when they're moving out of a house to pick some place, maybe inside of a drawer, behind the closet, to write a little goodbye note or a special memory. And it kind of shares that same vibe of thanking a place for what it's done for you and your space. So I love the intention painting. It almost makes me want to find a place to paint.
Just to do it.
Have some intention. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we also were talking earlier about our summer travels, and you went to Denmark and fell in love with the concept of Hygge,
Mhm.
which I read the little book of Hygge also
Mhm.
during my summer, and I think it's magical.
Yeah.
It really is magical. If you have not read the book, the little book of Hygge, which is actually spelled Hygge, so it doesn't look like Hygge, but that's a great book to read. What's your take on that and how it relates to the way we live our lives, the way that we choose our spaces and what we do in them?
Yeah. For me, what I just fell in love with is it's really about a feeling of connection and a feeling of, if I were to boil it all down, it's really being present
Yeah.
no matter where you are. And what I love about Hygge, that's not just in a home or just at work or just, it's not about just even space. It's really about just being in that moment with whoever you're with. And so in Copenhagen, it's our first time in Denmark, and everything's on canal. There's little water canals and these great little boats, but you would just see all along the canals, just friends sitting there enjoying a glass of wine, but very close to each other, connected, just really hanging on each other's words. You just saw people walking down the street, like holding hands and just being present and looking around. So for me, and there was this great, we didn't even know, we got on bikes because everywhere it's all about the bikes in Copenhagen.
Yes.
The bikes rule. You have more bikes, 3 bikes to every 1 car. So I just love that.
Yeah.
So again, there's an energy and a connection there when you have 40 or 50 people that ride up to your own bike lamp and you've got, or light, and you're like right next to these people who are all going the same direction. There's a connection and an energy there. So anyway, we're riding our bikes and we happened to on this castle, and there was just people everywhere on the lawn, just sprawled out listening to some jazz music. And again, you could just tell they were really in the moment. So that's what it means to me.
Yeah. That's really great. And I spent some time in the Netherlands earlier this year, and it was the same kind of just people intended to be with each other. Like it wasn't happenstance. They weren't stopping to have lunch quickly in between things and in events. They met each other, and I don't know, it was really neat to sit and
I
watch
know.
people. And
Yeah.
part of what I loved from the book was just the concept around the fact that they have less light than we do
Mm-hmm.
in the United States. And so their practice of lighting candles and
Mm-hmm.
using candles for their space to warm and bring in light. And I was like, oh, I think
Yes.
more candles in our house.
Yeah, I love candles. I have them everywhere, and it's actually taking a moment to remember to light them. It's so easy to just turn on the TV or turn on the lights, the overhead lights, and it's like, wait a minute, no, let's do the candles tonight.
Yeah.
But
So, go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing to you saying that people eating slowly, and you hear a lot about that overseas. But one thing that was a fun little fact for us, we realized, is that they do actual seatings. All the restaurants do like a 6 o'clock seating and then an 8 o'clock or 8:30 seating. So they actually put a limit of 2.5 hours when you reserve a table, because people will sit there for 4 if they didn't do that. So I just found that really, that people would actually spend that much time
Yeah.
with each other. It just warmed my heart.
Well, can you imagine a world where once we were in the space of someone else, that our electronics were not
Yes.
what
I,
took first priority? Wouldn't that be great?
I know. We went to dinner back in Philly just last weekend, and we looked down. There was 4 people in a row, and they were all on the phones all at the same time. And I'm like, and they were together. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We have a couple of friends who have the rule at dinner where they put all of their phones in a stack, and whoever answers it first, either if they're out, they have to pay, or if they're at home, they have to do the dishes.
I love it.
It is so hard though, especially our 2 youngest are teenagers now. And so, first of all, our struggle is to get them to sit down at the dinner table with us. But then, a lot of times we end up sitting and everyone's on their phones. So it's something that we're trying to work on for sure. So assuming that someone comes to you, a lot of times they're coming to you because they're financially prepared for a big renovation and they're ready to make some big changes in their home. Do you have any happiness tips around changing our spaces if that's not in our budget, or perhaps for someone who's in a rental and they can't knock down walls or make their space different? Are there ways that we can kind of inject and put into practice some of the tips that you might tell some of your larger renovation project clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I think The biggest thing is to know that you can have a huge impact without tearing down walls and redoing the kitchen and all of that. It really starts with shifting the energy, and sometimes that's shifting your mindset about your space. So it could start with, oh, I'm just in a rental. Oh, this isn't really my house. You know, a lot of times we have that, like we're waiting to get somewhere before we find the happiness, versus how do we create the happiness right where we are right now. So it starts with just a mental shift and saying, you know what, I'm gonna make this my home. It doesn't matter that it's a rental, or it doesn't matter whatever that is. So, you know, kind of investing yourself in it. And then the changes are very easy. I mean, we talked about paint already, because even in a rental, you can add so much color and warmth and really put your personality in just with paint, and you can always repaint it right before you move out. And these days, I don't even think rental places make you repaint it. They're going to repaint it anyway, so long as they don't go like dark black or something crazy.
A lot of landlords today don't even repaint. Like they,
Right, exactly. They just say, hope you like the color. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got the paint, but I talked a little bit earlier about pillows, but bedding and linens, throw blankets, pillows on the couch. You can bring so much color and personality and fun. You could do, I mean, they've got pillows where you can actually put a picture of your dog, but you could have like some funky, you know, dog or something, you know, a picture of certain things. So it's all about, for me, surrounding yourself with things that you love. That's the most important. Doesn't matter if you're in a rental, doesn't matter if you're doing a major renovation. So surrounding yourself with things that you love, creating that mental space of, this is my home, I'm going to make it work for how it works. You know, I'm going to do whatever it takes to love it. But then not being afraid to, I don't know, I guess I already said it, just really shift your mindset around it. Another thing is, because it doesn't matter how many pillows and colors and all that stuff you do, you've got to really make sure that you do keep an eye on the clutter. So that's one of my biggest things is, you know, those junk drawers, if they start getting, you know, even if it's like hidden, you know, it's there and it affects you energetically. So sometimes it's just a matter of saying, you know what, I'm going to do one drawer a week, or, you know, I'm going to just redo that closet, because it's amazing how much you pull something out and you're like, oh my God, I haven't seen this thing in 2 years. Let me just get rid of it. And it breathes new space energy into your space. So.
Well, and I think that there's also, this is again a North American kind of a thing, a Western thing, where we use all of the space that we have. You know, I mean, I'm just thinking about our junk drawers, and we could probably stand to empty 2 of them out of the 4, and we wouldn't miss any of it.
No.
Yeah.
Especially the stuff in the back, and yeah.
And all of those electronics that we don't know where the charging cords are, and
exactly, or a bunch of charging cords that you don't know what they would even charge. It's from a phone from 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We're always so afraid we're going to miss something, or we're going to, you know, that we're going to need it someday. And I think we're talking about European life earlier, and I think there is a lot in smaller spaces over there, and people just are used to kind of keeping the space fresh and getting rid of stuff that we don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often, this is not a question we prepped for, but how often do you find yourself going outside of the norm in terms of, you know, colors and what's new and what's on trend when you're working with clients? Do your clients ever come to you and say, like, I would really like this would make me happy, and it's not something that might be normal, or might be something that that you guys have done before? How often do you guys encourage out of the box, you know, kind of thinking in terms of space and where a person lives?
Yeah, so it's all about creating a space that's going to be perfect for them. So there's a lot of times where clients want to keep it very neutral. They're afraid of making mistakes, but we'll talk to them about, like, what are the colors that really resonate with them, and maybe if they don't want to put it on the wall because they're afraid of, you know, having too much going on, then we really talk about how do we finish it with those pops of color, with the linens and the pillows, and artwork is such a fun thing to do. And we've had a number of, you know, talking more about renovations. We just finished a project that had a really large kitchen, and this client and his wife were height challenged. So they wanted a rolling ladder along so they could actually use the upper cabinet. So we thought that was
I love
fantastic.
it.
We had never done one before. We obviously figured it out and had a great time with it. So, and then they also wanted an island that was different and a big butcher block countertop on the island, which not everybody goes for. So it was fun as soon as we know that there's a little bit of wiggle room there. Or they were also the ones that wanted it was a secret there's a cubby area that you walk into the mudroom. So there was a cat door that went in there, and the cat door went into the laundry room, and then there was a little cutout of a cat, and that's where the litter box was. So just,
I love it.
cute fun things
I
that
love
just bring a smile to your face.
That's really cool. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit so that everyone listening can understand. You guys have developed something that allows someone to kind of DIY the process.
Hmm.
You guys are amazing at what you do, but you can't be everywhere.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that and the process of creating that for people that are not necessarily in your area.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called the Renovation Roadmap, and it's an online system, 8-step process, where it's not, although you can do a DIY, like it's not meant for you to actually
Mm,
do the work yourself. It's more of giving you the tools to know what the process, the steps, the roadmap of a renovation should be. Because I think so many people put up with homes for so long that they don't like, because they're afraid of the process. They're afraid of finding the wrong contractor and just being on this road, this ride that they don't know where it's going and how it's going to end. And they're just like, oh my God, I hope I'm okay. So, it's all the checklists, how to even think about your project, how to get all your ideas out of Pinterest, out of house, and get them on paper, organized, so that when you do meet with a contractor, you know how to communicate in a way that you're getting, a good pricing back from them, all the way through, design pitfalls to avoid, how to avoid change orders, a sample contract. So it's all
mm,
the
all the
nitty gritty. It's essentially our process that we use with all of our clients, but we went ahead and put it online so that anybody, no matter where they are, they feel it's always about feeling good, through a process, through your space, whatever. So I feel the more empowered homeowners know of what that next step is and how to avoid those nightmares that you hear out there. That's what it's all about. And then what's great is it's not just information. So we've got an online community where it's kind of like Facebook, where you can post pictures and talk to each other and ask us questions. I do a live stream every couple weeks where you can literally get on something just like this and ask me questions about your specific project. So it's a lot of fun.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So what platform are you using? I'm just curious. So you said it's like Facebook.
Oh, it's a WordPress platform, and there's a plugin called BuddyPress. So it's a lot like, it's just a way to communicate
Wow,
with
yeah,
everybody
that's
that's in
awesome.
it. So it's a subscription base, and it's again renovationroadmap.com. Yeah.
I love it. So,
Yeah.
what is your personal mantra?
Uh, my personal mantra is, it really comes back to that everything is energy.
Mhm.
And the reason I say that all the time to me is because it makes me get present to first of all, how's my own energetic rhythm? Am I like really down? I had a big lunch. I'm just sitting here, or am I too excited and I maybe kind of bring myself down a little bit? But it also really helps me think about being present with that person. When I walk into a room, what energy am I bringing? Am I stuck in my head and worried about what I should have done or could have done, or if people are going to accept me? Like, am I up here or am I out there providing energy
Yeah.
to other people? And then obviously we talked about the energy of spaces. So for me, I'm just always thinking, okay, everything's energy. What am I giving versus what am I getting? Because a lot of times it's very easy to be like, oh, I don't like that energy. Well, what am I giving? What am I providing for people?
That's so good. I
Yeah.
was just at a conference last week, and one of the speakers said that he has a sign on his garage door that says, "Please be mindful of the energy you're bringing into this space."
Ooh,
I
I
know.
love
So
it.
I'm thinking about chalking that, for
Yeah.
our own family, because I think it's about being present. And like you said, it's not always about the energy that you're walking into. It's about what you're bringing.
Right, because
So
you can actually shift the energy of a room. So you could be walking into, it doesn't matter what energy, what you're bringing actually will shift it for the people that are already in it.
yeah,
It goes for networking, all of that. Like a lot of times, I know, especially when I first began, I just walk in and I'd be like nervous, and what are people going to think of me? And how do I act super professional? And I've got it all together. Like that's all over here. How do you get out there? So.
And
Yeah.
I actually, that's visible with
Mhm.
you. I don't know if you realize, like, you obviously work on it and have that be part of you, but it's very visible and it's very obvious when you're in a
Hmm.
space with you, the energy that
Thank
you bring.
you.
So
Thank you. Well, right back at you. Energy attracts energy. I
it
like
does.
energy.
What do you do when you need a reset, or what do you look to? Who do you read? What do you listen to when you're having just one of those days?
Mm.
We all have them.
We always do. So the first one I would say is I call my BFF. So my best friend Danielle. I've known her since I was 9 years old, so the fourth grade. And I actually had a call with her earlier today. I'm just like, I'm just working through something. What do you think? And so, I think there's nothing like the friendships and the connections that we have. And another piece I do is really I meditate a lot. So I do try to do it every morning. Sometimes I miss. I'm not perfect by any means, but because it allows me to quiet my mind and actually sometimes get the answers that I'm looking for, that I'm searching for, and just feel really grounded. Say, okay, this just reminds me of what I'm here for, and not and get out of my head and back into my heart space. So, and then books. I mean, I love Eckhart Tolle and just and anything spiritual. I
Yeah.
love all of that stuff. Yeah.
So one last question then. You
Yeah.
brought up meditation.
Mhm.
What is your meditation practice? Because it's different for everybody, and a
Mhm.
lot of the people who will be watching this struggle with meditation
Mhm.
because it sounds a little too woo woo. It feels a little too much. How do you quiet your head long enough?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I'm asking people if they do meditate is what actually does that look like for you?
Yeah. So for me, because I've been doing it a long time, I'll start with me and then I'll kind of share the progression. But I have like a little kind of altar, just a little tiny space in the bedroom, and it's funny because I'm not of any denomination. So I've got my the prayer hands of Jesus. It was my grandmother's. I've got a Native American dream
Sure. Yep.
picture.
Yep.
I've got Buddha. They're all there, all my pieces. But I
Yeah.
just sit down. Exactly. But I just sit down and I like to just shut my eyes and just be really quiet. So I don't, at this point in my journey,
Yeah.
I like to be able to feel and hear what might be coming to me, what sounds a lot like me, but I feel like they're messages of what I'm looking to hear. I also am a huge fan of guided meditations. So one of my favorites is Oprah Winfrey and Deepak do a joint one, and they've got a zillion of them. I think they've done like 10 different series, and they have different themes of abundance or money or love. So I love those. And then a step further, like just a little baby step, because I hear so many people say, oh my God, my mind is crazy. There's no way I could sit for 10 minutes. You don't even have to do that. It could be for 3.
Yeah.
But there's an app called Headspace. And my husband, who was not a regular meditator at all, it's his favorite thing to do. He just does it in the morning while he's drinking his coffee. I think it's like 5 minutes max. And I've heard a lot of men in particular really love Headspace. Not that it's a man thing, but it's a great way to get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and it's so interesting to me because own I started with the whole there's no way I can sit still for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
There's no way. And I have gotten almost addicted to it where I can't, like, if I miss it in the mornings, I literally miss it, if my schedule doesn't allow for it or if I have another priority. So I think it's amazing that you're to the place where you would rather sit in quiet.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll even do that. It's not meditating, but I'm training myself to turn off the radio when I'm driving, because I might be driving somewhere for 10, 15 minutes. And it's just nice to hear silence and actually listen to the birds when you pull up to a stoplight or if you're in good weather. But just learning to be okay with silence. I think we fill ourselves with a lot of noise, both internal that we're producing up here and external. And I think just starting to get used to a little bit of quiet in our lives, I think, and taking a couple deep breaths, it's amazing how much that can shift you just right there in the moment.
It can, and it's weird. It's been kind of a theme across everyone who's joined me is the
Uh-huh.
whole concept of we already know enough, and we keep trying to consume more in an effort to learn more or to be more enlightened or more educated. And for me, I always use the time in the car to listen to my podcasts because
Hmm.
they're wonderful people. They have all this amazing things to share.
Yeah.
Today, though, I opened up my podcast app and I had listened to all of them And
Wow.
the moment I was like, what do I do? But it was an enjoyable 20 minutes of just the breeze. I have a Jeep, so I have the top back.
Oh,
And, it
nice.
was just, yeah, we need to retrain to listen to the quiet.
Yeah, I think there's a good balance, you can do both. And I think it's, you enjoy one when you do the other a little bit. So it's nice to kind of swing back and say,
Yeah,
oh, remind yourself to kind of come back home
yeah,
sometimes. Yeah.
sounds good.
Mm.
We could talk forever.
I
I
know I could. I love, I always love joining and sharing space with you.
Yeah, same, same, same. So we will have links to all of the goodness that you have to bring to the world when we release this. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks,
All
Mina.
right. Bye.